I guess, should we do a little video about changing the power steering pump on a 64 Oldsmobile Dynamic 88? So I really have no idea what I'm doing here, people. I tried to get those off down there and I can't get them. At least for now. I'm going to switch over to regular wrenches where I can try to get some leverage without stripping those out. I need to get those off there, but I didn't bring that stuff out. But I did have 9/16 with me, so I went ahead and loosened that bolt and those two right there. I don't think you'll be able to get a puller in there, and you won't be able to remove the back of the, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to start loosening things up, probably pull everything out of there with the bracket. As long as I can get those two off the back, I can pull that completely out. Then I'll deal with the hoses and figure out why that's leaking down there too. So stay tuned. Okay, I was able to get those off. It was a flat blade, and I also discovered that I think the leak may be coming from right there, because this is super loose. And that right there was on the back nub there with the pipe fitting, and it was a 13/16. So we are moving right along. That pump is loose. I've got the belt off. It's unfortunately draining power steering fluid onto my frame down there. We'll just call that rust control. Let's get this out of here. All right. That bolt right there was a pain in the butt. Or nut, I'm sorry. And the other one right there wasn't so. That one was actually really super tight. That one wasn't so tight. It was just really super hard to get to. And there's what the pump and bracket looks like out of the ride. I used the impact, just a cordless impact, with a 3/4 inch socket to get the bolt off of the pulley, and then I just used a basic gear puller with a 11/16. Yeah, 11/16, and it pulled the gear off super easy. So now I have two more bolts there. I believe those are probably 11/16 also, maybe. Nope, a little bit smaller than that, but yeah, it's actually going pretty easy. I got the pulley off. Smashed my finger, so I don't have any video. Kind of got a little frustrated. That guy right there got me. But that's the way that you get the reservoir off of this guy. Is, at least that's the way I did it, was tapping it with the with the same tool that broke my water neck. So be careful. Tapped it off. It eventually just popped off. Got that all apart. Got everything all cleaned up, and I painted everything, the new reservoir, put it all back together. Got the bracket painted, bolted back to the bracket. I still have to get the pulley on. It's being painted right now, and I forgot which side it comes off of. But one thing that is nice is there's a, if you can see it there, kind of like a key, and there's a keyway in the pulley, so it only goes on one way. I just have to remember or look back through my videos and see which way it goes on, or if it even matters. I don't know, but I'm going to make sure I get it back on the way that I took it off, and hopefully everything will go good. There's one other bracket over there that got painted as well. I don't know why there's so many brackets on this thing, but yeah, that's how it is. Here's the other bracket, and I also painted the cap. It's not the greatest, but it's better than it was. I'm not trying to make it look real pretty. It is a 64 Oldsmobile kind of patinaed out, so you know. It is all back in, all painted up, looks halfway decent. All the bolts are back in. The only thing I need to do now is I want to flush all the old fluid out of the gearbox down there and make sure that none of that old fluid ends up running through this pump. So that's what's next. We are back in business. I've taken on about an hour's worth of ride. Had a couple little mishaps I'll tell you about here in a second, but I think I'm gonna need to replace that radiator hose there, Mr. Swollen. Okay, so you know, I'm reading that you need to flush out the gearbox when you change one of these power steering pumps on this thing. So there's two fittings on the back. I don't really know much about this stuff, but I assume the one with the hose fitting actually is the pressure, high pressure. The other side just has a hose clamp on it. Wouldn't hold a whole lot of pressure. So anyway, I hook up that side, the pressure side, and I take off the back of the new pump. I don't hook the return line to it. I stick it in a jug. I'm just, thinking it's going to circulate. So I put a cord in into the reservoir, and I can hear it kind of gurgling, look down in, and went down in it. Grabbed the second quart, poured in there, and I still hear the gurgling, and pretty soon I'm like, what the heck? And yeah, so since I didn't have the hose on the back side, the return line, it was just pouring out onto the frame. I made a little piece for that and plugged the end of it so I could run through there, and I ended up with like 2 quarts of some nasty looking fluid that, just, I guess, cleaning out the gearbox down in there. Filled it all back up with new stuff. I'm not exactly sure how much fluid should be in there. There is no dipstick, and I couldn't see any kind of lines or anything. I assume the motor down inside should be totally covered, so I did that basically, and it's just slightly up into the neck. I hope that's not too much. It does say don't overfill right on the cap, but how am I supposed to know how much is overfilled? I don't know. But anyway, it is back together. The next project for this thing will be the heater core, and I'm not looking forward to that at all. But in the meantime, keep on trucking.